Alex Palou aims to add another win to his legendary season, while Pato O'Ward and the pack fight for the checkered flag at Road America.
Absolute brilliance.
Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
The official IndyCar app, powered by NTT Data, puts the pulse-pounding action of IndyCar right at your fingertips. Never miss a lap with the latest news, highlights, and live race coverage. Track every move with real-time leaderboards, interactive maps, onboard cameras, and driver radio. Your all-access pass to every race, every moment, every day. Download the official IndyCar app now.
Cars are rolling here at Road America. We're getting very close to the start of the XPEL Grand Prix. It's going to be a fun afternoon. It's been a fun and interesting weekend, to say the least. Wasn't fun for Josef Newgarden, though. Yesterday afternoon in qualifying, the two-time and reigning Indy 500 champion had one of the biggest crashes of his career.
It was a wet track dry, and he dropped his left rear onto the turn-in curve in the kink, one of the fastest road course corners in the world. He hit at 95 Gs and miraculously jumped out under his own power. This morning, Diff.
This was miraculous. USF Pro 2000, two drivers involved. They were both okay. That was at the final turn. On a happier note and more positive, how about Linus Lundqvist, the rookie, got his first ever pole position on Saturday afternoon, winning the NTT P1 award, getting a bonus championship point, but more importantly, a huge morale boost for him, and he is going to lead this field to green, as is reflected on the XPEL starting grid. But he starts alongside the guy who has undoubtedly been the fastest all weekend over all sessions.
Consistently leading in practice. A little frustrating, I think, for Colton Herta to qualify in second, but the start will be fascinating to see if the Californian can jump the rookie as we go down through the grid. Romain Grosjean was third quick this morning in practice, so he's got a fast race car. And Helio Castroneves will start all the way at the back in what could be his last ever IndyCar race outside of the Indy 500.
Now, if you're asking, hey, there's Lee, there's Townsend, where is James Hinchcliffe? Well, that question's about to be answered. Take it away, Hinch.
Guys, there are a lot of racetracks on the NTT calendar. There are a lot of corners on each of those racetracks, but the best of both is right here. We're standing in Turn 5 at Road America. This track is a favorite among teams, it's a favorite among drivers, and it's a favorite among fans, and there is no better place to watch than right here. Why is that? This downhill run into Turn 5. Tons of action on the start, on the restarts, and all throughout the race. And just look at these people. We got lawn chairs, we got golf carts, the stands are full, we got beer, we got brats, we got cheese curds, everything that makes Wisconsin racing awesome. I think this is one of the best seats in the house, but Lee, I guess I'll have to come up and join you guys in a second.
Yes, your regular seat is waiting for you up here, mate. So awesome stuff. Those fans are going to have a terrific afternoon. It's a really popular spot there at Turn 5. All right, so the field is set. The stage is set. Just so happens to be a 4-mile monster here at Road America on a beautiful afternoon, which is in stark contrast to yesterday.
Oh, it was so wet, but this track drained really well versus previous years. Certainly dried out overnight, and the conditions could not be more ideal. 70 degrees ambient, 104 track temp. Perfect for hauling the mail around Road America. They'll see speeds diff on the straight approaching 200 miles an hour.
So the 25-year-old Swedish driver Linus Lundqvist, who was an Indy Next champion, got his big break late last year and got the drive of his life to join Chip Ganassi Racing. He starts alongside Colton Herta, who loves this place and has been running really well. They crest the hill to see the green flag, and the XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America is away. Linus Lundqvist in that blue and white American Legion Honda leads the field. His teammate Marcus Armstrong in the green car tucks in behind, and here around the outside comes Kyle Kirkwood. Oh no! Linus Lundqvist has spun, and so too has Armstrong.
I believe Marcus Armstrong in that green Ridgeline Honda, teammates to Linus Lundqvist. I think the nose of Armstrong got into the back of the pole setter Lundqvist gearbox, and that's a disaster for that race team, Chip Ganassi.
Oh my goodness. And the caution is out on lap 1. Colton Herta, he needs help. Lundqvist, the pole man, needs help. Did he get tagged by his teammate? If the answer is yes, that's a nightmare.
There's the evidence right there as you see the nose cone Watch the green car and the pink and white car of Kyle Kirkwood to the outside. But Armstrong looking to make something happen here. He just gets in a little too deep.
Oh, he did hit him.
Now, in fairness to Armstrong, Lundqvist did have a pretty big wiggle at the apex. The back of his car stepped out, and I think that probably surprised Marcus Armstrong. We'll see from another angle here. And then further back, Colton Herta with nowhere to go.
And who was that went off there on the side there? Ah, that's Graham Rahal in the Henriksen Honda. Here it is from a different angle.
Poor Colton Herta at this point's going, no. I've got one of the fastest cars. Oh, Colton got hit from behind by Josef Newgarden, it looked like, as he checked up. Let's go on board with Colton Herta, the driver of the Gamebridge Honda. Excuse me, Newgarden first, we'll see.
And Newgarden, I don't think knew that they were going to check up in front. This is from Colton Herta's Gamebridge Honda.
That was a big hit into the back of Colton Herta.
Scott McLaughlin, the XPEL Chevy.
Oh, brilliant piece of driving from McLaughlin. You could see he hesitated for just a second. It was like a running back. He saw his hole and then he hammered the throttle.
Graham Rahal a little further back. He's going to go to the left.
Not sure if he got help. It looked like Graham just locked up at the back end.
This is Pato O'Ward. He's going to do some ducking and diving here. Little grass tracking through the smoke. Oh my goodness.
Just missed Armstrong, but a great job to keep his eyes high.
This is Will Power, the Verizon Chevy.
His teammate Newgarden right in front. There's the hit on Colton Herta.
Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Good afternoon, Kev.
Good afternoon. Despite that off-roading, Pato O'Ward said the car is fine, but this works perfectly for him. He was one of two in the top 14 starting on the alternates. He didn't think they would last. He said, if we get an early caution, I'm coming in. He said the car is good.
Graham Rahal is also in. So too is young Nolan Siegel.
So this will be a strategy that will follow later on. These four cars you see leaving pit lane will have to make 3 more stops, making it a 4-stopper to the end, most likely.
So as they work their way around, let's show you the Honda track preview. Take us for a ride, Townsend.
Well, about 30 minutes from the shores of Lake Michigan, off the coast of Sheboygan, you'll find Road America. And like I said at the Open, one of the best road courses in the world, freshly repaved last year, improved in many ways. It's 14 turns in a total, 4.014 miles in length. And for any racing driver, it's a favorite because it follows the natural topography of the gentle rolling hills here, tree-lined. It's always gorgeous, brilliantly green and lush everywhere you look. And this turn 14 has been a real challenge for a lot of drivers this weekend. And the straightaways are almost 3/4 of a mile. Let's head to pit lane. Marty.
Colton Herta leaving pit road, and you can make the argument this is the 3rd straight race where Colton Herta kind of was the favorite, and he comes down now and will be behind the entire field. Also coming down pit road earlier was the 8 of Linus Lundqvist. So Colton Herta, once again, with such a quick car, the favorite to win the race, now will be at the back of the field after an early spin.
Colton led a monstrous amount of laps here last year, I think in excess of 30 laps. And unfortunately it went away for him after his last stop, after his last pit stop, and he agonizingly had to watch 4 other opponents catch him and pass him on by. So we'll see what today yields for Colton Herta and the Gamebridge Honda. The big winner out of all of that, the Auto Nation machine of Kyle Kirkwood. Look at Kirkwood go around the outside in the Pinkmobile. Has 3 at the front. Came to a stop. This opening lap caution is over, and we go back to racing here at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, with Kyle Kirkwood leading Scotty Mack. Scott McLaughlin, watch that yellow XPEL Chevy, pulls out of the draft as they head to turn 1. It's Kirkwood and McLaughlin with Scotty Mack taking the lead.
What a forceful run up the hill. Kirkwood had a bit of an oversteer moment, losing rear traction coming off that final corner to the flag, but further back. Look at this. How about Christian Rasmussen on Kiffin Simpson? Simpson closes the door.
Rasmussen, the aggressive one on the Indy 500 circuit. Now he was bringing that aggression here to lap one of this restart. And Dixon now popping out on Newgarden.
Look at this, down into the brake zone for turn 5. Newgarden's going to have the better line, and Will Power comes from nowhere to almost jump up the inside of Scott Dixon.
Oh, it was subtle, but a pretty bold move by Newgarden, pushing Scott Dixon over just onto that curb in the brake zone, causing Dixon to lose traction. Dixon will not forget that if he gets a chance to go side by side again with the winner of the Indy 500.
There's the Hy-Vee Honda of Christian Lundgaard, then Romain Grosjean, who thought that he may have been able to qualify up a little higher. He's generally happy with the speed of the car this weekend in the Juncos Hollinger Chevy. There he is in the black and red machine.
So what we'll be watching here is for the first car on the softer red compound, which is Josef Newgarden. What kind of lap times can he do? Is the caution's out for something, somewhere?
3 apparently from race control. There it is.
And this is good news for Newgarden, as you see maybe a winglet, we understand, might have come off the 26 car of Colton Herta. He's wide on the rumble strips, and look at the violent shake of the race car as the diffuser strakes come blowing off the floor of the Gainbridge Honda. Is that from the contact earlier?
Yeah, no doubt being hit square in the back of the car earlier could have had an effect on that. Those exit curbs so violent when you drive over them at speed in one of these cars, and then a little bit of a hip check down there in turn 3.
And those exit strakes on the bottom of the floor produce quite a bit of downforce, so that's not going to help Colton through some of the faster corners here.
Oh
wow.
Around again for Colton Herta after contact there with Linus Lundqvist through front row. Both already went around in turn 1, going around in turn 3 on the restart.
And talking about lap 1, Hinch, car 11 there, the Ridgeline Lubricants Chip Ganassi machine of Marcus Armstrong has been penalized for avoidable contact, and so too has Dale Coyne Racing's Luca Giotto, both for avoidable contact. Didn't see the Giotto.
Do you think Giotto got into Graham Rahal?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
So early penalties, a little bit of a stop-start beginning to this XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America. Hinch, that was fun down at turn 5 with the fans.
Yeah, did I miss anything while I was on my way back up?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit of action? No, I mean, look, I wasn't just saying it. Favorite racetrack, you know, to come to outside of Indianapolis, and the fan base here, just incredible.
I was going to give you a 50-50 chance of surviving it down there. I mean, given the curds and everything else going on. I saw you brought a bag back to the booth. That's nicely done. Two-tone cheddar curds. Delicious.
I was asked to share it with the booth boys, so here you go. This is for the commercial breaks, guys.
Well, you first.
We'll save some for you, Kevin Lee.
And a quick update on Pato Award. They thought they had a big advantage by being able to get off the alternates. No one wants to really run them today, but you must complete 2 laps on the alternates, and they did not. So a lot of frustration, nothing they can do about it now, but they're going to have to do another stint at some point on the alternates later. Marty.
Kevin, well, for Colton Herta, after starting on the front row, it's been a frustrating day, and he just voiced some of that frustration.
Needs to be a penalty. Hit me right on. Copy that. Focus on what you're doing, and we'll do it. 51 can't put you off. Oh, look, Chris. Good, man. I'm cool, but I do this out here. I'm just getting abused.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough so far for Colton Herta, who's all the way back in 27th, last car on the track. Meanwhile, for Josef Newgarden, Townsend, you started to talk about it. They are the only one of the top 10 right now, actually the top 8, that are on the alternate tires. That is not the tire you want here this weekend at Road America. It seems like it's going to be a primary race. The reason they started on the alternate tires, they were hoping for cautions early in the race, Lee. Guess what? They've gotten those cautions. This could play right into Newgarden's hands.
And of course, you got to run the red tires at least once. One set has to be run. So this caution does help, Marty. Good point.
All right, here we go. Through the 14th and final turn, coming to the green flag. McLaughlin was able to draft up on Kirkwood on the previous exchange. Let's see if Kirkwood's close enough to return the favor, cresting the hill. Dixon looks racy as well. That light blue and white car, 3rd, 4th in shot, pulls out of the draft. That's Josef Newgarden up the inside. Great move into turn 1.
Squeezing Alex Rossi all the way on the entry there. Surprised Rossi didn't defend it all going into one. Looks like these Chevys, these Penskes are very quick in a straight line. Of course, this is one of those tracks where you can trim the car out for that straight line speed more than others, so maybe some different levels of downforce in play here.
Marcus Ericsson making a good move in turn 3 there on the inside of Théo Pourchaire. This is Romain Grosjean.
Rossi's having to defend. Look at the white and orange car. There's Dixon to the outside. Rossi was having to defend down the inside.
Here they are, wheel to wheel, Grosjean, Lundgaard, and in the background is Kyffin Simpson, the rookie for Chip Ganassi Racing, waiting to pounce, and he does. Nice move.
Making use of his best ever career IndyCar qualifying. The driver, the number 4 there, the blue and orange car, has trouble in the back for Felix Rosenqvist, I believe, off track here on the Arctic Wolf on board. He drops all the way to the tail end.
Take one when you can, take one when you can.
Bit of a theme in IndyCar this year. If you're going side by side in a corner, the guy on the inside not really letting it happen and pushing guys to the outside. Almost every time we've seen it. We saw it a lot at Barber, we saw it at Indy GP, we're seeing it already here 5 laps in to Road America. Let's take a look at what happened. This is on countryman Marcus Ericsson. No, up the inside.
Stingray rolled up the inside.
Yeah, I mean, Stingray just misses the corner completely. Just forced him off. He was dropping wheels on his own. Just completely outbroke himself.
It's one thing to stay side by side with somebody and kind of run out of room at the exit, but Rosenqvist forced off. That will certainly go to race control for review.
It's a hot
Kyffin
spot.
Simpson, guys, just crashed over in Canada corner.
Whoa.
Big off.
He's had one of his best weekends in his young IndyCar career, but it's all come to a crunching halt. And this has been a nightmare start to the race for Chip Ganassi Racing. The teammates hitting each other, lap 1, turn 1, and now another one of their rookies has crashed out.
Well, we don't know yet. It was a big off, but it's a 4-mile lap. If AMR safety team is able to extract him, let's see how this happens. Oh, it's not turn Canada corner. Excuse me, it's 14.
Rasmussen, do they hit? They
Sure does.
certainly do.
Overly aggressive moves all race long so far from Rasmussen.
So how hard does Kyffin Simpson get into the wall or the tire barrier? Unfortunately, that's concrete. That's a big hit. That's gonna, oh yeah, he's done. I didn't see the left front got all torn up.
So did the left rear. Yeah, defensive line there from Kyffin. He's got every right to do it. Absolutely a penalty coming for Rasmussen, I would imagine. Although, I mean, yeah, 100%. I don't know how you couldn't.
By the way, race control looked at that contact and the spin. There's Chip Ganassi. He can't believe the way that this race is unraveling. Race control did look at the incident between Linus Lundqvist and Colton Herta. No further action.
Okay. But for Chip Ganassi, you've seen your pole setter, rookie Linus Lundqvist, being taken out by your other driver, Marcus Armstrong. And now, Chip Ganassi driver Kyffin Simpson has to make the long walk through the beach.
We're kind of struggling to get into a rhythm today here at Road America, but we will when we come back. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by XPEL, proud entitlement partner of the XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America. Hy-Vee, this racing season you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting hyvee.com. Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Great way to spend a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? Welcome back, folks. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe with you here at the XPEL Grand Prix at Road America. Going to take you back and show you earlier on the lap, maybe some goings on between Christian Rasmussen and Kyffin Simpson. That's Canada corner. They almost get wheel to wheel. So Rasmussen couldn't get it done there.
Kyffin Simpson left him room in Canada corner, and Christian Rasmussen repaid the favor with the chrome horn.
Yeah, I mean, nothing Kyffin did wrong there.
Not at all.
This is a young driver that we've credited so much this season with not making mistakes, with finishing laps, and just being there at the end of races. And unfortunately, this one, no fault of his own, driving defensively but well within the rules and his rights, and this driver here just misjudged that one into 14. Not a good passing place on a good day.
Yeah, I mean, we've been in these situations. You try to time perfectly your brake stab at the last second to make a decisive move to the inside, but that one went horribly wrong for Christian Rasmussen.
check in with Georgia Henneberry. Georgia?
Well, Felix Rosenqvist had a big moment earlier today involving the number 41 who just got a penalty caution as well. So let's listen to this radio from Felix Rosenqvist.
Oh, idiot.
Yep, copy. Just stay focused here. We'll get him back.
I gave you so much room. It still takes me off.
Yeah, we saw it. It's pretty
Guys, tensions are high here in the early laps of Road America.
So Stingray Rob has got that penalty, and it is to give up 7 track positions for avoidable contact. You may remember that it was at the top of the hill, going inside right here on Felix Rosenqvist, and so if he gets that penalty for that, I think that there's got to be one coming. Here he is again. Look to the left, folks.
Now Felix described it perfectly. He gave him a ton of room as Stingray Rob forced his way through and then took even more. Got on the side of Rosenqvist. Completely understand the frustration. And by the way, the idea that you can put that behind you and forget about it and focus forward, nice in theory, almost impossible in practice. So these restarts for the rest of this race, there will be scores kept and potentially scores settled.
And you think there's got to be a penalty coming for Christian Rasmussen as well for that Kiffin Simpson contact once we go back to green. So the yellow car you see at the head of the field, that's Scott McLaughlin. The New Zealander leads American Kyle Kirkwood and the Indy 500 winner Josef Newgarden. Alexander Rossi is 4th. Then Scott Dixon, Will Power, Alex Palou, Christian Lundgaard, Romain Grosjean, and then Rasmussen in 10th. Let's see who makes the early moves. Good restart, Scott McLaughlin. He's on it straight away. Kirkwood will try and stay closer than he did on the previous restart. He couldn't make any ground on McLaughlin. Out of turn 14, here we go up the hill, and let's get into a racing rhythm.
Boy, Scotty Mack looks untouchable on restarts so far, getting terrific runs on the opening few corners. Meanwhile, Kirkwood has to defend again. The Team Penske teammate for McLaughlin, Josef Newgarden, who looks to the outside.
Primary tires on Kirkwood, alternates on Newgarden. You think advantage on the restart's going to go to Josef in that blue and white PPG Chevy, but Kirkwood doing a great job through 3, getting a good launch down here. No pressure right now.
I'm already seeing some pretty big wiggles, though, from the PPG driver of Newgarden. I wonder if the red tires have just tipped over the edge. We'll find out at the end of this first lap.
Rossi again having to defend against Scott Dixon. Will Power's getting in the story right on the inside of Dixon into 5.
He tried that earlier, and here comes Grosjean around the outside. Great restart from Romain Grosjean. He's mixing it up with Alex Palou, that Honko's Hollinger, the green and black machine. It's in the mix.
The orange car and the yellow car, Dixon and Palou lead the IndyCar Championship. How do they do that? By making high percentage decisions during chaotic times. You're seeing their mature, calm, methodical approach pay off to survive these opening laps.
Penalty from race control. Christian Rasmussen, stop and go. No great surprise there. It was pretty egregious. So there's Rossi. Then we pick up Will Power, Scott Dixon, Romain Grosjean. Then Alex Palou in the DHL Honda. Next one through. I spent a little bit of time with Grosjean this morning. He was pretty perky. He was upbeat, he was smiling, he was feeling good, and he said, I think I've got a chance to do well today.
Christian Rasmussen looking at the inside of Christian Lundgaard as he knows he's coming to the pits for a penalty. Maybe not a lesson learned there in terms of patience. But no, as you said, Diff, Grosjean doing a great job. Nice recovery from the accident we saw him have in first practice on Friday. As you see the blue Guy Care Chevy for Christian Rasmussen go into the pit lane to serve that penalty. Much more of a penalty under green flag conditions than had he been asked to drop to the back under yellow. So a huge penalty having to be served for that incident.
On board Marcus Ericsson, the Delaware Life Honda.
Did we just complete one clean lap, Div?
Lucky we're sitting down.
Wow. Now they can use push to pass in anger. As Ericsson does, you see the 6 green lights illuminate. He gets off the got on it and then decided I don't have a good enough run, I'll get off it, or he was trying to defend on a car behind.
Hinch, you mentioned just a moment ago about Romain Grosjean's crash earlier in the weekend. Folks, if you weren't with us on Peacock during that, check this out. Turn 14, and it was fast, really fast.
Sure was, just a right front lock up, a little bit heavy going in, and nosed it straight on into the tires at quite some pace. It was the first of many incidents we saw down in turn 14 throughout practice and qualifying. Big damage to that car, done for the rest of the session. But right now, you'd never know that he barely got any laps in practice. He's doing a great job.
So why is everybody so high up in the saddle on starts or restarts here? Because once things string out, it becomes a little harder to make moves at this part of the tire stint. High-speed corners, turbulent air, addressing the front wing of all of the cars that trail behind. And Marty, it becomes a little more difficult. A lot of these drivers might settle in here, protect their tires, and wait for somebody to fall apart on balance.
Great point, Townsend. And if it were green to this point, normally you'd be thinking about pitting in about 2 laps. But because they've already had 6 laps of caution of the 11 laps so far today here at Road America, that extends that first window as we're right on board with Kyle Kirkwood hint. So what's going to happen now? And this is good for the race fans because they'll take that to about lap 15 or 16, which means maybe no more fuel saving for the rest of the race. You can run flat out at Road America because I know drivers, you drivers hints, you don't like saving fuel, do you?
It's not our favorite thing to do. We like pushing 10 tenths. That's what it's all about when you're driving an IndyCar. And as much as this does help the drivers that started on those alternates because so many laps were run under caution, it also does help the drivers on the primaries that have to eventually do a stint because you can shorten that middle stint up on the alternate tires. So everybody's sort of benefiting in some way from this.
Well, let's check out the pit stop predictor powered by NTT to give you a guide, as Marty was talking about. Where are those windows?
Wide.
Are they
quite wide.
Are they as wide as that? I think they're a
well,
little tighter.
You're going to see the leaders here. McLaughlin, we're at lap 12. Marty called it with the 6 to 7 laps of caution, so they might be able to go as far as about lap 18 before they have to stop. But I'll be watching tire wear. On board here with Newgarden. Let's just ride for a little bit and see if the grip on the alternate tires is starting to fall away.
An eventful start, but now we're up and running here in Road America. You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT INDYCAR Series. Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need. And by Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power equipment. Back at Road America and back racing in this XPEL Grand Prix, and appropriately it's the XPEL Chevrolet that leads the way in the hands of New Zealand's Scott McLaughlin. Scotty Mack has a handy 2+ second lead over Kyle Kirkwood, and then Josef Newgarden sits third. Unfortunately, there is one retirement from this race already. It's rookie Kyffin Simpson. Tell us more, Georgia.
Well, it is unfortunate. Kyffin Simpson having his best starting position of 12th today. But Kyffin, first and foremost, are you okay? And what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all good. Luckily, the safety team did a great job getting me out of there and getting me back here and analyzed and everything. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. I mean, we had a pretty good race up until then. We were able to move forward a bit at the start, but everyone behind was really quick on those reds, so it was just tough on all the restarts to kind of keep ahead. And we were fighting hard and just fighting hard with Raz, and you know, things happen in racing. He thought I was going to do something, I didn't, and it just ended up causing a contact.
An unfortunate end to Kyffin Simpson's day. We have to remember all 5 CGR cars starting in that top 12 today.
These two know each other from the Indy Next series, but they didn't want the day to go that way. So Kyffin Simpson out. Christian Rasmussen has been penalized for that.
So this is a really important part of the phase, Hinch, because lap 15, about a lap or two until the leaders pit. But for the entire field, they're getting a pretty good read on the softer red tire. Specifically, the pace of Josef Newgarden looks to be hanging in there. So maybe not as much of a concern that the red tire won't hang on. But there's a long way to go. The sun could pop out, and Marty, the track could get hotter and present more of an issue for tire dig.
And Kyle Moyer mentioned that exact point to Scott McLaughlin. This cloud cover does help the alternate tires. But interestingly, they told McLaughlin on those primary tires, run as hard as you want for the rest of this run. They're thinking of pitting in about 2 to 3 laps for the leader, Scott McLaughlin, because they know their teammate Josef Newgarden is going to those primary tires, Townsend. And right now he has a 3-second lead over second place and almost 4 seconds over his teammate Newgarden.
Watching the hands, James, for McLaughlin, it really doesn't look like he's having to make much of an effort. That thing is on rails as you see Pourchaire come in for that alternate Firestone compound.
Kevin Lee standing by. Coming your way, Kev.
This is a good stint for Teo Pourchaire. He gets the alternate out of the way. He also reported in a vibration at the beginning, so to be able to move up 6 or 7 spots, really good. I've not heard any more comment about that, so maybe it went away. Solid situation for Pourchaire. He feels comfortable here. This is a good opportunity for him to move forward. Pourchaire is taking a little bit longer. They get as much room as they can either way.
9.7 seconds, even for a full fill. That seems a little lengthy. Maybe an issue getting plugged in there.
But you saw in the background that Kyle Kirkwood's crew and one of the Team Penske, I think, crew is getting ready for that lead group to come in on the next lap.
Tell you what, this is pretty good stuff here from Rinus VeeKay in that direct supply Chevy. VeeKay's got by Lundgaard for 9th.
And he's on the Reds, and he has 15 laps on the Reds. So, James, I still think this is a black race, but Rinus VeeKay looking really sporty, if not a little squirmy through the carousel.
Yeah, you see the push to pass activated for Christian Lundgaard. He wants to strike back, a little bit of a lift, feathering the throttle through the kink, but he's got a great run in here down into Canada corner.
Oh! Canada corner, wheel to wheel.
Wow.
Lundgaard out wide in that Hy-Vee Honda, and VeeKay comes back.
He almost had it done, but just the car bouncing on that exit curb took all the drive off the corner for the 45, and Rinus able to sneak him back in as the leader, Scott McLaughlin, is into pit lane.
And he's not the only one, Marty. There's plenty of takers.
Lee, first we're going to see Kyle Kirkwood hit his pit stall first. Josef Newgarden also is going to make that. Scott McLaughlin is going to go by. Kirkwood comes in. He's going to go from primary Firestones to primary Firestones and Shell Fuel, Marty.
They would have loved to stretch it one more lap for Scott McLaughlin. And interestingly, they decide to go with the primary tires for McLaughlin. You see Marcus Ericsson pitting behind him. They're going alternates there. Josef Newgarden, who has now inherited the lead, will pit next time.
Here he is, working his way up to turn 6 in the PPG Chevy. Massive crash yesterday. The team, not only on the 2, but on the 12 of Will Power and the 3 of Scott McLaughlin, it was all hands on deck to get Josef Newgarden a new, fresh, and ready-to-race race car last night.
And Josef Newgarden needs to hustle whatever tire he saved on the opening 16 laps. He's going to use it up on this critical in-lap for Newgarden as these two battle, Rossi and Armstrong.
Rossi just out of the pits.
It's that crash we were talking about, Hinch, earlier in the show that Josef Newgarden suffered, that he needed a replacement car, replacement engine. It was violent. 95G impact. Boom.
It's an oval crash. I mean, it's 130, 140 miles an hour, and as Townsend mentioned at the top of the show, you're not looking drivers left. Your eyes are already on that fast approaching apex, and it's just a natural movement to sort of fade to the left. Huge damage to the number 2 car. Huge credit to the Penske crew for getting the backup car ready as Josef all the way down to 45 miles an hour, Marty. He's in pit lane.
And Hinch, Newgarden told me that was a mistake of 6 inches. That's how far he was off the racetrack, just 6 inches. And that impact, as Townsend mentioned earlier in the show, 95 G's to the car inside of his helmet, 80 G's almost for Josef Newgarden, and he was only sore, he told me. It's a backup car. They ran at Detroit last week. The engine that won the Indy 500. Newgarden goes to the primary sticker tires, Kevin.
Pato O'Ward comes in, so that gamble to get off was working essentially. They're in the same strategy as everyone else and cycled up to 5th, but he still needed to do an alternate set. So he's back on the Firestone alternates.
Look at this, Kevy, the teammates. McLaughlin on Newgarden. McLaughlin at speed. He pitted a lap earlier. But and Newgarden coming out, but he's put himself in a great position.
Newgarden did a great job on that in-lap to close the gap. Remember, he was running pretty close there with Kirkwood, but Newgarden making up time on the Reds. He'll still have to build some tire temp, but impressive green flag sequence for Joe New.
Check it out. McLaughlin, bottom of your screen. Newgarden, top right. Josef knew that he was coming.
Both of these drivers would be getting that information from the pit. Josef would have known where McLaughlin was. McLaughlin would have known that that car coming out of the pits was a race for effectively the lead. Nice and patient from Scotty Mack. He just checked up the entry a little bit, squared off his turn in to make sure he had the proper exit and could get Josef down into 3, no problem. It just shows you how important these green flag pit cycles are, Townsend, at this racetrack with the nature of the strategy here.
And now you've got a Team Penske 1, 2, 3 on that strategy. Alex Palou still has not pitted until now. He was able to go farther than anybody. Chip Ganassi getting great fuel mileage once again, Marty.
And that's important to note, Townsend, that Alex Palou, who's won 2 of the last 3 races here at Road America, was able to go 1 lap further of those on this strategy. He's going to go with scuffed primary tires for Alex Palou, who was pretty happy with the handling of the car despite kind of being stuck in traffic. A little bit of wing turn there, and they're waiting on the fuel for Palou, who finally leads. We'll see where he cycles out.
So there's McLaughlin, there's Palou, and here comes Josef Newgarden. Newgarden will easily blow by, and Will Power will be the next one to take a shot at Alex Palou. And he's at speed. This is very similar to McLaughlin and Newgarden, and Dixon's the next one in line behind his Spanish teammate. Here is the PNC Bank onboard.
And Dixon with the alternate tire, which should be fresh and sticky, and he makes it work exiting turn 3.
But now Palou can get back in the draft. Does he have enough to pull up alongside the 9? It's going to be hard with cold tires into 5. Does not get close enough. You see Kirkwood behind him there. Let's look at that, guys. Kirkwood was about 3 seconds behind McLaughlin. When they pit on the same lap, now Kirkwood is running 7 seconds behind Scott McLaughlin. So this pit cycle has kind of all gone wrong for Kyle Kirkwood in the 27th.
So it's been a busy schedule of late, folks, but while that is pretty tiresome and demanding on the teams, as a driver, it gives you another opportunity to maybe make amends for when things didn't go quite to plan. And just 7 days ago, this guy who leads this race, effectively, at the moment he's down in 4th, Scotty Mackey said, look, this was all my fault. I was just pushing too hard in Detroit. I'm so mad at myself for putting myself in that position. Hinch, he was in a prominent position, and he said, I'm going to make up for it at Road America. We're going to have a good weekend, and look at what is happening.
Well, he's been stout on road courses his whole career in the IndyCar Series. Easily the biggest strength, I think, that he's had. And it was such an innocent mistake in Detroit. It just started raining on slick tires. Got sideways, barely damaged the car at all, but the race came undone. He is making good on that promise, though, to rebound here in Road America.
Colton Herta, Rosenquist, and Lundqvist are all off strategy compared to the likes of McLaughlin and Newgarden. The Thirsty Threes, that's the affectionate name that Scott McLaughlin gave to his side of the Team Penske camp. They've given Scott McLaughlin a good car, and he is cruising in clear space. Meanwhile, this is an angry little bunch here. Scott Dixon right in the middle of it. Pato O'Ward, Marcus Armstrong. You're talking about 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th here. Rinus VeeKay in the blue and white car coming up on Armstrong. He's already got by Romain Grosjean as Colton Herta's in the pits. Marty, take it away.
Yeah, Townsend's been talking about two strategies going on. Colton Herta on one of those strategies, and there's 2 other cars really still on the track that are on that strategy as well. But Herta giving up the lead here as the field shoots by him.
Yeah, tough for Colton Herta. From this point, if it stayed green, he'd still have to make 2 more stops, I believe, to get to the end. So he'll fall to the back, but based on the bad luck from the start, he had to mix it up and try something.
And it's just so tough. I mean, he pulls out of the pits, you just see that massive train of cars going by at speed. Feels so helpless. Rinus VeeKay here, meanwhile, looking very aggressive, very racy on Scott Dixon. Grosjean going to try to go with him. Contact between the 77 and the 9.
Really like what I'm seeing out of Rinus VeeKay in terms of pace, but Grosjean not wanting to give up here on Scotty D. No contact, but it was close.
Both these drivers are heading to the 24 Hours of Le Mans next week. Racing for different teams, but really excited about that. And here comes Lundgaard, Christian Lundgaard trying to go around the outside, and Marcus Ericsson's going to capitalize. Ericsson pounced, right time, right place. Good move.
That's the best part about these big trains of cars, guys, is when one driver tries to make a move, you can sometimes get caught out and lose a spot. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Into the kink, that is dicey as Dixon's going to get freight trained here.
He's got a flat, I think he's got a flat tire to Scott Dixon. He's going very slowly.
He's on the softer red compound, and you're right, I think the left rear, maybe not, or maybe it's just coming apart on balance. No, his tire pressure looks okay.
They are swamping Dixon. There goes O'Ward, his teammate, who he stood on the podium with a week ago in Detroit, Marcus Armstrong in the green machine. He's lined up, and Graham Rahall's there as well.
Speaking of Graham Rahal, you remember Graham Rahal had heavy blistering to his rear firestones on the left rear, and Dixon, this is way earlier than he wants.
As Dixon pit last on lap 17, we're just starting lap 23.
And he's not even in his window.
Not
so
even
this
close.
would be 2 more stops after this for Scott Dixon. Marty, what's going on with Dixon?
We're going to find out together. We're going to get a look at these firestones once they come off. But yeah, you guys are right. Nowhere close to the window for Scott Dixon. All the tires look up, but man, I can see that left rear. It is blistered all the way around that left rear tire for Scott Dixon. We'll give you a visual on it here in a minute. And I mean, there are tons of blisters on that left rear for Scott Dixon.
It must be a situation today, guys, where if you just tip it over too far, it gets hot and it all of a sudden falls apart as you ride on board with Scott Dixon, and he's in a handling hole right now, under attack everywhere. That's Grosjean again, making moves into turn 6.
You can see the left rear on that onboard. It's got that discoloration on the inside of the shoulder there. So this side-by-side contact, and then the fact that Grosjean was able to get enough of a run off the carousel to pass into the kink, a flat-out corner, just shows you, Marty, how rough the tire must have been, and just look at that.
Yeah, could you drive on that tire, Hinch? I mean, that's what Scott Dixon was dealing with, that left rear tire. Look how much blistering. I mean, it's literally across the entire tire and all the way around the tire for Scott Dixon. I mean, I would say, I'm not a driver, Hinch, but that looks like an undrivable left rear to me.
Yeah, that's not something you could hang on to for another 5 or 6 laps, what he would have needed to do there.
Looks like a few file photos in my Hertz profile.
Here's the thing. Josef Newgarden did such a good job on that alternate tire early in the race. I wonder if the kind of heat cycle from that first green flag lap and then a little bit of cooling down through the caution period actually helps make the tire last a little bit longer versus out of the pits and flat out. As we ride on board with Scott Dixon, taking a look at that Firestone telemetry, 182 miles an hour into Canada corner.
So he's in a difficult position now, all by himself and kind of off sequence as everybody has pitted now, and McLaughlin is back in the real lead of the race by more than 3.5 seconds.
Here's what I find fascinating about the tire situation. Dixon, the most experienced driver in the field, along with Castro Neves, somehow his tire coming apart. But for Josef Newgarden, no issues on the opening stint. If I'm Alex Palou and the team, Barry Wanzer on the 10 stand, teammates to Scott Dixon, you should be concerned because Palou, presumably with a very similar setup, has not run the red tire just yet.
Look at this. It's McLaughlin and daylight before you see Josef Newgarden, and the same. It's Team Penske, 1, 2, 3.
Alex Palou aims to add another win to his legendary season, while Pato O'Ward and the pack fight for the checkered flag at Road America.
Absolute brilliance.
Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
The official IndyCar app, powered by NTT Data, puts the pulse-pounding action of IndyCar right at your fingertips. Never miss a lap with the latest news, highlights, and live race coverage. Track every move with real-time leaderboards, interactive maps, onboard cameras, and driver radio. Your all-access pass to every race, every moment, every day. Download the official IndyCar app now.
You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Proud partner, energizing RLL Racing. 5 Hour Energy tastes great and fixes tired fast. Liberty Mutual Insurance, only pay for what you need. And by Hendrickson, a global manufacturer of innovative ride solutions, proud partner at RLL Racing. Clouds are rolling in above Road America, but conditions are pretty stable. Boy, we had a rainy day yesterday that made conditions tricky, but look at how dry and smooth this 4-mile Road America circuit is, and it looks really good. If you're Scotty Mack, Scott McLaughlin leads the way, and that lead has been stable at 3.5 seconds over his teammate Josef Newgarden, and then fellow teammate Will Power before we pick up Chip Ganassi Racing's Alex Palou, two-time and defending series champion. Then it's Kyle Kirkwood of Andretti Global coming through ahead of Alexander Rossi. Let's talk more about the 7. Here's Georgia.
Yeah, speaking of Alexander Rossi, the 2019 winner, he came in for a pit stop. They went primaries to primaries, a turn in the front wing, and the most interesting thing about his stop, he had to wait for 1 or 2 seconds for Pietro Fittipaldi to safely get into his pit box. So held up a little bit by the 30 coming into his pit box. So hopefully in the long run, it doesn't put him too far behind. He was 4th when he came in, 6th now. Marty?
Georgia, about 5 laps from the second stop of the day for the leaders on that strategy. And trust me, every engineer, every strategist has seen that left rear tire that came off Scott Dixon's car a moment ago. Kyle Moyer just told Scott McLaughlin on the radio a moment ago, and Hinch, you made this point. I thought it was a terrific point. Moyer told McLaughlin, listen, when we put on these sticker alternate tires, you have to be uber careful on the outlap. Do not push them. That's the theory, Hinch, is that these alternate tires, if you push them too hard, too early, that's when those blisters happen. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes what happens is when the surface temperature of the tire gets too hot too quick, and then the carcass temperature, the kind of core temperature of the tire doesn't rise at the same rate, you can get those sort of blistering situations. So by bringing up the tire a little bit more slowly, not pushing too hard on the outlap, you don't overheat the surface without the carcass temperature being where you want it.
So with that being the case, Marty, I wonder, do they get McLaughlin to start saving some fuel and try to squeeze one more 4-mile lap out of Road America on these blacks to shorten that red stint that they need to run? That could make a huge difference in terms of surviving the red stint. They only have to run the reds until lap 41 when they could make their last stop. So if he can stretch this stint and save some gas to get one more lap out of it, that could make a difference.
Townsend, as of right now, they're talking about pitting on the same lap as Josef Newgarden, about 3 to 4 laps from now.
3 or 4 more laps.
3 or 4 would put them into, that's exactly what I was talking about. So make it 4 if you're McLaughlin. We understand that was Josef Newgarden's radio. But for the XPEL Chevy, if he can get to lap 31, Diff, or even 32, that would only be 9 or 10 laps on the reds that he needs to do. That's why that early big caution period really paid off.
You want to minimize the time you're on the softer or alternate Firestone Firehawk tires. This is Josef Newgarden, the PPG Chevy, the Hitachi onboard, and we are right at the halfway point of this race. Really stop-start affair. It was punctuated by 3 cautions before we really got into a racing rhythm. And this race has Team Penske dominating it, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, before we pick up Alex Palou, Kyle Kirkwood. He's trying to fend off the Papaya and White Arrow McLaren Chevy of Alexander Rossi.
But you mentioned that top 6 lineup, Diff. As of right now, only Josef Newgarden in the top 6 has run those alternates that seem to be causing so many problems. So a lot of drivers probably a little anxious, a little nervous about what's going to happen when they throw on those reds.
Do you guys agree that that puts Newgarden in a winning position? You think he looks strong, or
not because of the stint length? Maybe not. It's only 10 laps. It's overcast, guys. The track temp has actually fallen since the start of this race. It's just 96 degrees. So for all of these drivers, the farther they can stretch this stint, the shorter the next red stint will be and the easier it's going to be to hang on. So I'm not ready to concede to Newgarden as a full advantage at this point.
I'm not going to concede, but look what happened to Dixon. He was not even a 10-lap stint, I don't think, before he had to pit.
Yes, but look what happened to Newgarden. He did run a full stint. He had yellow, but it still looked really strong on the final 7 green laps.
Been a strong day for Romain Grosjean and Rinus VeeKay. Hunko's Hollinger Racing, Ed Carpenter Racing. VeeKay, what's happened? He's dived for the pits, and Georgia Hennebury standing by.
Rinus VeeKay has been incredibly vocal on the radio to the team. They asked him how the tires were. He said they are falling off, and then just moments later he said they are definitely falling off. So they brought him in probably a little earlier than they wanted to, but they're taking primaries off, putting the primaries back on, and they are loading it up with fuel.
He's been racing so well today. Been making very definite, bold, confident moves, executing it well. His teammate too, Christian Rasmussen, will be kicking himself for that avoidable contact penalty that ended Kiffin Simpson's race. Both the Ed Carpenter Chevys have looked really good here at Road America. So VeeKay's back out there, maybe a little earlier than he wanted, but if you're Scotty Mack up front, life is good. Just over 25 laps remain in the XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America. And it's the XPEL Chevy that leads. Through that high commitment turn 13. This is the last corner. There's over 170 feet of elevation change here at Road America, and here we go. It's pit stop time, and the battle between the teammates. McLaughlin is in, Newgarden stays out.
Oh, this should be good to watch. Can Newgarden make up the same amount of time he did on the last sequence? If he can do that, it might be enough.
Good amount of overtake on the straightaways, but protect that left rear.
Marty, there you hear the reminder on tires.
That's the third reminder to take it easy once they go to the alternates, which they will do right here. Scotty Mack is 1 day short of his 31st birthday. What a birthday present it would be to win at Road America, a track he has worked very hard on. There he goes with the alternates. They reminded him, as we just mentioned, take care of them as best you can on this out lap. His teammate Josef Newgarden will pit this lap.
And this is it, guys. This is the race. We saw how much time Josef made up on that last green flag cycle. Now you got Scotty Mack, who's being instructed to not push too hard on the out lap. That's so hard to do when you know that in and out laps in this phase of the race are absolutely crucial.
Spare a thought for the driver of that blue and white car, the American Legion Honda, Linus Lundqvist. He won his first ever IndyCar pole position yesterday, led the field to green, and it lasted one corner.
And this really helps Josef Newgarden. The fact that Scott McLaughlin has to race somebody a little bit, he'll be just as quick as Linus Lundqvist in a couple more corners, and this is advantage Newgarden to potentially make the overcut work. Meanwhile, don't forget the number 12 Verizon car of Will Power. Yes. One of the fastest drivers in the field, and he's just about a second and a half back of Newgarden on the same strategy.
This is lap.
Newgarden's a two-time winner here. Power is a winner here.
Does Power come in? There he is. Penske for the front of this thing, Marty.
Yeah, for that run, Team Penske was 1, 2, 3. Will Power will go to the alternate, just like Scott McLaughlin on the bottom of your screen. But Josef Newgarden satisfied that requirement on the first run of the day, so he'll go to the primary tires here for Newgarden. And they reminded him, listen, both the 3 and the 12 will have to be conservative on this out lap. You do not have to be. So Newgarden going to those primary tires. And hence, you mentioned how much he cut into the lead last time. They gained 1 second. Let's see what they gain here.
Here we go, McLaughlin cresting the hill.
We'll just leave it now.
Newgarden and Power up ahead to the right. Watch this. Turn 1. Newgarden's on the gas hard. Here comes Scotty McLaughlin.
He might get Will Power, but I don't know if he'll get Newgarden. Power blocks him.
Inside defense, but he can't defend that. Now it's going to be a drag race down the hill to turn 5. McLaughlin is coming on the two-time Indy 500 winner.
Josef Newgarden has to pick which lane he wants. He goes driver's right, gives the inside back to McLaughlin. Surprised he didn't try to hold it.
And now what Josef Newgarden needs to do is get tire temp in the next couple corners and then attack McLaughlin. Force him to burn up those red tires. This is his chance.
You're listening to him have to pedal that throttle on these cold tires. Firestone telemetry showing you how much he's going to have to work it here through the carousel.
And without sunshine and track temp, it makes Newgarden's job that much harder. You can hear him breathe it in the long carousel. Meanwhile, Scotty Mack at speed and at temperature pulling away.
Here's where Josef crashed yesterday, right there. 95G impact. Oh, and he almost goes again!
What was that?
Does that give Will Power an opportunity to attack?
How did that happen?
He just lost focus. You mentioned it earlier in the show. The straights here, they're not straight, Townsend. He was looking down maybe at his dash. He had just come off, pushed to pass. So close as the leader Palou now. 1 lap longer once again into the pits, Marty.
And he has to go to the alternate sticker tires as well. He was very aware of the situation with his teammate Scott Dixon. He too told to take it easy on this out lap for Alex Palou. Remember, going 1 lap longer gained them 2 spots on the last exchange.
Oh, Will Power at speed has to go to the high side, but makes it work.
Felix Rosenquist making a move there. He's on a different cycle. He pit last on lap 23, kind of in the same boat as Colton Herta and Linus Lundqvist, who currently are leading.
Behind for position. No.
Check this out. Look at Josef Newgarden. Oh my goodness, out over the line onto the grass. This is over 180 miles an hour. That could have been disastrous.
I'm shocked. It's just, you know, you obviously try to make that straightaway as straight as possible.
Yeah.
You kind of keep your hands open.
Didn't look like he was looking down at the wheel, and we shouldn't underestimate the residual effects of hitting the wall at 95 Gs yesterday morning. Who knows how much of a struggle it is for Josef to hang on here for 55 laps. We were all surprised he was able to get out of the car like he did and seemingly just fine, but that was a strange situation.
All right, let's compare the teammates, the 3 and the 2, McLaughlin and Newgarden. Pit stop differential powered by NTT.
So you see there, in lap, out lap, big gap to the out lap in favor of Scott McLaughlin, as well as time in the pit box. Kind of negated a little bit by the time on pit lane, which goes to Newgarden's favor. So really it's the out lap that makes the difference. Scott McLaughlin able to pull out a little bit under a second through that, thanks to NTT for that very useful information, because this is what makes or breaks the race here in this type of racetrack. And right now the gap is sitting at around 2 seconds from McLaughlin back to Newgarden.
Herder and the pole man, Linus Lundqvist, on a different strategy because of what happened to them earlier in the race. And then the effective leader is Scott McLaughlin. How's this going to play out? Another reminder for all of you IndyCar fans that you have a chance to drive away with a brand new Corvette. All season long, you can enter this competition by scanning the QR code on the right-hand side of your screen there. There's 3 Corvettes up for grabs in total. 1 has already been given away. That was over the Indy 500 weekend, so 2 left. Get amongst it, and we wish you good luck. Riding aboard the Hy-V Honda, Christian Lundgaard is in 13th place at the moment. The Rahal Letterman Lanigan racer. There's one of his teammates in the 5-hour energy car. That's Pietro Fittipaldi, who's had a really positive day. He's made up a lot of positions, been racing well, and there he is. He's ahead of 19-year-old Californian Nolan Siegel. And you might be saying, what? Nolan Siegel, isn't that Augustine Canapino's car? Well, you are correct. But you may be aware, or may not, of the story that came after the Detroit Grand Prix, where there was on-track contact between Teo Pourchaire and Augustine Canapino in that highly eventful turn 3 spot. Here it is here. Pourchaire gets into the side of Canapino, and it cost Canapino some 3 spots. Pourchaire had to give those spots back. But Augustine Canapino, his fan base, didn't really take kindly to that, and Pourchaire received a lot of online abuse, social media abuse, and some death threats during the week. Now, up until just a few days ago, this team, Arrow McLaren and Juncos Hollinger Racing, had a technical alliance. That was ended with immediacy, and Augustine Canapino is not in the car this weekend. He's taken a leave of absence for mental health reasons, and it created an opportunity for this young guy to show what he can do behind the wheel of an IndyCar. This is the young man who missed the Indianapolis 500. There were 34 cars for 33 spots. It was the toughest day of young Nolan Siegel's career. And look at this for the lead of the race. Teammate on teammate. Inside at turn 1, Josef Newgarden has got Scott Dixon.
So this was what we were speculating. How much is McLaughlin going to have to hold back to protect his Firestone alternates? The answer is quite a bit, because Newgarden is head down to the front and gone.
He was a full second faster than Scott McLaughlin on that previous lap, a 144.6 to a 145.6. The only benefit that McLaughlin has right now is right behind him is power also on the alternate. So he's going to be on a similar program, having to nurse those softer tires for at least another handful of 10+ laps.
Well, they've got about 5 laps, James, until they get to the window. It's lap 41 where you can make it home comfortably with enough fuel to drive aggressively to the end. But McLaughlin must hate what he's feeling right now in his race car, losing the lead and now falling into the clutches of his teammate Will Power, who seems a little stronger at this point on Reds.
Even Power was 0.9 of a second faster than McLaughlin on that last lap. So you can see a little bit of coloration on both of the right front tires of the soft shod Penskes of Power and McLaughlin. So both of these drivers working for it, but maybe McLaughlin's suffering a bit more.
Well, we saw earlier with Scott Dixon, if you blister the rears, you're done. You got to come to pit lane. So you have to make sure, Marty, that you do not tip them over the edge.
Yeah, no word from Scott McLaughlin yet as to any issues. In fact, a moment ago, Kyle Moyer said the temperatures on the tires look good. That's while he was leading. Here's the thing, Townsend, you were right. They're going to be able to make this red stint, the alternate stint, a little bit shorter, but they still have to make it last 6 more laps. And he also knows his teammate right behind him, Will Power, is quicker than Scott McLaughlin. So right now, I think both of these Team Penske cars just trying to hang on.
What a gritty drive from Josef Newgarden to survive the opening chaos, navigate everything. He had contact there when he got checked up in turn 1, and especially after the practice crash yesterday, which would have put a lot of guys out for the race just in terms of the physicality of that hit.
Yeah.
For him to lead and drive like he has today, it's another reminder of why he is the reigning Indy 500 winner.
Colton Herta fans may be saying, well, how come Josef Newgarden didn't get an avoidable contact penalty for hitting him, turning him around?
Because it was avoidable. It was unavoidable.
Unavoidable, right. Watch this. This is the pass for the lead. Was this the pass for the win?
Hey, hang loose, brother. Hey, hang in there on the reds, bro. Good luck with that. I've already run mine.
Wasn't a great time last weekend in Detroit. We talk about that Indy 500 hangover. Newgarden's time there ended in a 26th place finish after his second Indy 500 win. So this would be quite the comeback if he can stitch together what would be a 3rd victory at Road America for Josef Newgarden.
Watching Will Power try to find the draft on Scott McLaughlin. And at this point, you start to wonder, with one more pit stop to go, where do they stand on push to pass? How many of the 200 seconds did they have to use to get to this point, to get to this running order? And Will Power in the best shape of Team Penske, 95 to 74 and 73.
Just looking down that running order a little bit, how about Graham Rahal? 14th position after being taken out turn 1, lap 1, got back on, and here he comes. You're watching the XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America, and you're also watching a Team Penske steamroller. Newgarden, McLaughlin, Power, 1, 2, 3. Simple as that, with 16 laps to go here in Wisconsin. Can anybody get anywhere near these guys? The answer at the moment is no, because Alex Palou is some 8 seconds behind the 3rd place Will Power. Huge gap. Georgia?
As they start the last cycle of pit stops in this 55 lap event, Felix Rosenqvist comes to pit lane. They go from primaries to primaries. He was completely silent on the radio, but it was a quick stop. They filled it up with fuel to last him to the end.
Going to the break, we mentioned good comeback by Graham Rahal. How about Colton Herta? He has cycled his way up to 8th in that Gainbridge Honda, ahead of Marcus Ericsson, his teammate behind Romain Grosjean. Remember, turn 1, lap 1, he got hit by Josef Newgarden. He didn't know, he was trying to avoid the spinning Marcus Armstrong and Linus Lundqvist. Stalled the car, needed to fire it up again, had to come in early, was off strategy from that point, and he's worked his way, pulled off a good move on Alexander Rossi recently to move his way into 8th place, and is hustling.
And this is the place where you start to see some gamblers, James. If you're not having a great day, maybe you're, Scott Dixon or Christian Rasmussen or somebody like this that's had penalties or contact or tire issues, you think about pitting on this lap and hope that in the subsequent lap or 2 there's a yellow and you luck out. That's the only chance you really have on a day of struggling at the back.
A bit of a dice roll, but we've seen it work plenty of times in the IndyCar Series. So like you say, if you're just sort of struggling, hanging on, you might as well try something. Doing the same as the cars in front of you, a lot harder to make up ground that way.
And these red tires hanging on really well for the 3 and the 12. But Kevin, there's some other runners on alternates right now. How are they doing?
So I'm starting to hear people saying the alternates are getting better. Pato O'Ward said, I think that's the preferred tire, but he was told we're out of new alternates, so they're going primaries. But some others are thinking about it, Georgia.
Alexander Rossi, one of the drivers out there with Firestone red tires on. I just asked Brian Barnhart as he comes to pit road about 5 laps ago, how long do you want to keep these things on? He said, we want to get them off as quick as possible. That's going to be in about 5 laps as he makes his way to pit lane right now. They're going to put those primary Firestones back on the number 7, fill it up with fuel, and that's going to be his last stop of the day.
Rossi released from the Arrow McLaren pit box, 15 to go. Is the race leader, Josef Newgarden.
And there's the traffic coming for Newgarden. So I think you're going to want to pit if you think you can make it full rich to the end. You don't want any part of lap traffic to slow you up. So you might as well take your stop now if you're Joe New, or the cars on the reds, but they all stay out. Yes, they do. So Team Penske opting for another lap. If you're not losing the compound, maybe you hang on.
What's that gap? 1.5 seconds between Newgarden and McLaughlin.
Yeah, I'm starting to think McLaughlin did have a bad lap. The lap that Newgarden got him, maybe made some mistake, opened the door. And if that is the case, he's going to be kicking himself. We don't know that yet, as Palou now dives to pit lane. And maybe part of the decision for when the Penske guys do pit is where they come out. They want to make sure they don't come out in traffic.
But Marty, they're in the danger zone, Team Penske. With Palou coming to pit lane, this should force Team Penske to have to pit to protect.
Yeah, I would bet Team Penske comes on the next lap. So Alex Palou is going to go to the primary tires here. Interestingly, they've run longer than everybody else the entire race today. They've gained 4 spots through that process, now pitting earlier than the other leaders.
Another great thing about an early stop is it's nice and quick, less fuel to go in. I guess, no, that's not true. He's got, well, because he pit later, so he had to put less in. A 6.5 second stop. That was very sporty from the 10 crew.
He was 8 seconds behind this guy when he pitted. So Alex Palou and Will Power. So who comes first out of these guys? Do they all come in at the same time, or do they wait and see what Newgarden does?
Well, normally you'd think that the alternate runners are going to come in first, but look in front of Josef Newgarden on track. There's a lapped car. You do not want to do a lap in traffic like that now that Palou is in clean, free air. So if I'm Josef, I'm probably thinking of pitting this lap.
That's the 78 of Nolan Siegel, the rookie, with his first start, like Lee mentioned, with Juncos Hollinger. But I think more than anything, you just have to protect against the cars that have already stopped, like Alex Palou.
Hit this lap, please.
That's for Scotty Mack, and Power stays out, so we've got some difference here. Newgarden on the primaries and leading the race. McLaughlin is going to get off the alternates here, and Power stayed out on the alternates. We got a good comparison here, Marty.
That was a very late call from Kyle Moyer to bring Scott McLaughlin to pit road. That was on the entrance of turn 14. You saw McLaughlin dart for pit road. He's going to get off of those alternates, go to the primary tires, and he never had a complaint about these alternate tires. So he was very happy with how it ran that entire time. This could all come down to how it sequences out. Your in lap, your out lap. McLaughlin leads for the primaries. Newgarden was told to push hard. He's going to come this next lap.
And a big part of the out lap here is traffic, and McLaughlin will have none. It'll be a perfectly clean Road America turn 1 and turn 3 for McLaughlin. That's what you want in the undercut situation.
This is Nolan Siegel, bottom of your screen, and race leader Josef Newgarden. How is this going to play out? Is it going to be power and advantage to Newgarden, power and advantage to McLaughlin? We'll see.
Newgarden made a pretty big mistake there on the brake zone for turn 8. He came in really hot. He's got turbulent air from Nolan Siegel and ran wide. I'll bet he lost about a half a second in that one corner alone.
And he's not catching him as quickly as you would have thought. This is exactly what I was saying. Being in the dirty air of another car slows you down. We say that a time lost to pit here is around 37 seconds. Well, right now, the gap on track between Josef Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin, 37.4 seconds.
Nice.
Totally agree,
James.
James.
We need to pit if he's holding you up.
This has been a big hold
Pit
up for
if he's holding you
Newgarden.
up.
This will make the blend extremely close between Team Penske teammates as Will Power stays out.
This lap, push up to the 78. Push up to the 78.
We got a race on our hands for pit lane exit. This is going to be fascinating. This lap, it'll be Newgarden v. McLaughlin. Then next lap, Power versus both of them.
Unreal, Marty. Scotty Mack is over in Canada corner, making his way around. This is going to be pressure cooker stuff.
This could all come down to what happens on this exchange. On the first stop of the day, Josef Newgarden was about a second faster than Scott McLaughlin. Second stop of the day, Scott McLaughlin was about a second faster than Josef Newgarden. Quick stop by the two bunch. Let's see what they blend out.
6.8 for McLaughlin, 6.2 for the Tasty Twos.
Clear, clear.
Oh,
Wow.
Look at that.
Josef Newgarden with a monster gap. Now his tires are cold, so the gap will close pretty quickly, but not that much, James. That is domination.
That was incredibly impressive from the two crew on pit lane. Josef doing his job as well, getting down from
12's gonna have to pit.
From 100 and something to 90 miles an hour for the first stage of pit lane speed, then from 90 miles an hour down to 45. All of that counts in to that time lost on pit. The driver plays a big part in it. You can see the gap on track as it increased.
The running order that you see, Herta, Ericsson, and Lundgaard will all have to make one more stop.
Hey, and here's the Verizon Chevy of Will Power. He holds the fastest lap in this race.
I'm not sure it's going to be enough to stay in front of Newgarden. That was such an impressive exchange for Josef. Will now dives into the pits.
Pit this time, watch.
Pressure's on the 12 crew, on the 12 driver. Hit your marks. No mistakes.
Marty standing by. This is going to play out very interestingly, Marty.
Boy, Lee, for the better part of this race, Team Penske has been 1, 2, 3, and interestingly, those three cars on the final stop of the day pit on 3 different laps. Will Power coming down pit road, and of note, he has more push to pass left for this race than his other teammates. So Power, no complaints with the handling of the car, gets those sticker primary tires on the 12 car, and a quick stop for the 12 bunch. We'll see where he cycles out.
Here we go. Push on the outlap. Newgarden's cresting the hill. Is this going to work for Will Power? Have a look at this. The Verizon Chevy leapfrogs not only McLaughlin, but Josef Newgarden as well.
The overcut is the move, guys. Josef won a lap longer than McLaughlin, extended that gap. Then Power a lap longer than Josef. And look at that. That is a nice, healthy gap. Even with the cold tires, he's got to get up to temp.
It's been 34 races since Will Power has won. Oh boy, is today that day that Power's been waiting for.
Alex Palou aims to add another win to his legendary season, while Pato O'Ward and the pack fight for the checkered flag at Road America.
Absolute brilliance.
Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.
The official IndyCar app, powered by NTT Data, puts the pulse-pounding action of IndyCar right at your fingertips. Never miss a lap with the latest news, highlights, and live race coverage. Track every move with real-time leaderboards, interactive maps, onboard cameras, and driver radio. Your all-access pass to every race, every moment, every day. Download the official IndyCar app now.
You're watching NBC's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT INDYCAR Series. Hy-Vee, this racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by XPEL, proud entitlement partner of the XPEL Grand Prix here at Road America. And the race is on between teammates. First car you see on your left is Will Power, the Verizon Chevy. The PPG Chevy, this man here, Josef Newgarden. We ride the Hitachi onboard, and he almost got Will Power a lap ago right here, cresting the hill, heading to turn 1. And the voice of...
30.
They're asking about push to pass. Josef Newgarden's asking, how much does he have?
They're almost matched. Look at that, 25 for Power, 24 for Newgarden, 26 for McLaughlin.
And don't count out McLaughlin. Here's a replay on the left-hand side of Joe New drafting up, but listen.
You hear that noise? That's the hard limiter on the engine. The rev limiter kicked in. He had so much speed, he basically ran out of gear. So nothing Josef Newgarden could do. He had a monster tow, but just ultimately reached a speed the car could not go.
And the reason for that is the tailwind, the wind direction. It's blowing pretty strong out there, Marty. It shows 11 miles an hour, but looking out the window, those flags are blowing really stiff.
It's calmed down a little bit, Townsend, but to your point, yeah, it's blowing really hard, and it's blowing down the front stretch. You normally don't see 190 miles an hour into turn 1 at Road America. You're seeing it today.
And Colton Herta is at the top on your timing graphic, but Colton does need to pit again, even with these 8.5 laps to go.
It would take a pretty monumental yellow incident to keep Colton out at this point. Pit lap 35 the last time, so 10 laps before the leaders.
Folks, Will Power hasn't won since Detroit 2022.
Just going back to Herta real quick, it's so devastating for him. The pace he's got out front on those pretty old tires is faster than the cars that are essentially leading, running behind him, the Penskes. This guy here still just ruining that first corner incident because he is absolutely on fire, and that's on those alternate tires.
Yeah. The day that went away from him, or has it? This is not over yet. When you're Will Power, you're an IndyCar champion 2 times, you're an Indy 500 winner, and you've had 41 career victories. You're kind of used to winning, right? Well, have a look at this graphic. It's been 34 races since Will's last victory. Last season was the first time he went winless in more than 15 years. It was highly unusual, and it's been agonizing. He was wondering when he would be in the winner's circle again. Now, he's not there yet. Still got 6 laps to go, but he is certainly mighty close. We take you back 2 years. And this is how we got it done. That was at the then Belle Isle street course. Got in the fountain, had his son Bo in the fountain as well. It was a great family moment, great family with the team as well. But it has been just such a prolonged wait for Will Power. What do you think about the 12, Marty?
I think it's so impressive with what Will Power is doing today, and I also think it's impressive with sort of his career mental turnaround. You know, his wife Liz was sick last year, and he admitted that distracted me so much in 2023. So he came into 2024 with a sort of new perspective, and as he told me this morning, I'm just happy. I'm happy being an IndyCar driver. None of the stuff that happens, good or bad, really bothers me anymore. I'm more focused and determined than ever, and Power has shown that this year. He's had some rough races this year, but if it plays out this way, Lee, it's unbelievable. Will Power will no doubt be in the championship hunt, and in fact, he's showing right now that he would be the championship leader. Right there it is, bottom left of your screen. Unbelievable. Even after the wreck at Indy, Will Power certainly a threat to win the title again this year.
We've had the points leaders be Pato O'Ward, Scott Dixon, Colton Herta, Alex Palou. It'd be a 5th different points leader from 7 races in this season. And Will Power is just 5 laps from home. Hey, speaking of winning, I want to give a shout out to Andretti Global's Indy Next driver, Jamie Chadwick, the 26-year-old British driver. She became the first female driver in the Indy Next Series to win in some 14 years, and she did it from the pole position. And it was an awesome drive.
Indeed it was, and she did it here at Road America, one of the most challenging road courses. She did it straight up from the pole. Untouchable today. That's a big deal. Congrats, Jamie Chadwick.
Hinch, do you reckon this is going to help the wounds of the Indy 500 with an uncharacteristic, unforced error by Will Power where he crashed out? Going to help those wounds a little bit?
I think it's just going to help everything from the last 18 months. You know, this is a guy we talk a lot about how used he is to winning. Fastest driver over a lap, more poles than anybody in the history of IndyCar, but he's always had an interesting approach to motorsports in the sense that I think back to a conversation we had in Brazil back in 2011 where he said, you never know when you've won your last race. And it seemed insane at the time for him to be saying that. He was winning 4 or 5 races a year at that stage. But you go through his first winless season and you know that he starts having those questions. This series is so competitive, you just never know.
And you just never know with 5 laps to go at Road America. Listen, if you're Will Power right now, you're out by yourself, your handling of the race car is beautiful. It gives you time to think about worst case scenario. We know that's how Will Power thinks. How about the marbles? Where does all that Firestone rubber go? All offline. And that's what could cause a last-second yellow, is deep in the field. Maybe a little score that tries to get settled in the closing laps. That's the worry for the Verizon team right now. They do not want to have to battle for a restart here.
Been a long wait for those guys. Hey, Kevin Lee, any Flavor Flav sightings?
He may have to get on a helicopter and get here as quickly as possible. Even Will joked last week a little bit, I'm not sure he's been a great good luck charm for me. But no, we'll get him back in the mix here soon. Hey, wanted to highlight a couple of people having really strong days today. Kyle Kirkwood, the name of his game this season, he's running in 5th, has been consistency. Townsend's best, worst finish. He has that accolade right now, 11th on the season. That's why he's 6th in the championship, in line to finish 5th here today at this point. And then just a few spots back, Romain Grosjean is in position to match his best result of the season. He's running 8th. He did that at Long Beach. And remember, this weekend started with a heavy crash on the first lap of practice, and that was the only dry practice until this morning. So well done. This is still a young program of Hunkos Hollinger, and Grosjean in his first season having a good day today.
Scott Dixon's day has gone from bad to worse. The championship leader coming in here, the 2-time winner this year.
I'll tell you why. It looks like scuffed hot tires, like they just went for a splash of fuel for Scott Dixon. Really tough to launch the car when the tires are hot and grippy.
It was already going to be a bad result. There was no comeback from after having that set of red tires completely blister on him. He was trying to hang on for something. That last stop was going to put him back somewhere in the teens anyway, and now he finds himself in 21st.
Rough day for Chip Ganassi Racing, except for Alex Palou in 4th.
Rough day for your championship leader coming into this race. I mean, you saw that graphic. He would be behind by 1. That was before Scott fell down to 21st, so he would be 3rd in the championship as they run right now. So it's a big, big loss.
Colton Herta and Pato O'Ward. Check this out. This is after Colton made his last stop of the day. Wheel to wheel, almost. Oh, Pato goes way wide, turn 1.
Yeah, potentially a little bit of that marbling late in the race I talked about, as O'Ward's just simply trying to avoid things. But the way that the front end shot off the track, I'll bet that's the buildup of tire rubber.
Oh, and then immediately some rear locking.
Well,
wow.
Your tires are dirty at that point. Your hot Firestones have picked up all of those marbles, and the penalty carries to the next corner.
That was remarkable, though. The engine completely shut off. That wasn't an audio issue. That was the full rear lock, engine stuck, and he's having to chase. It's like having somebody pull the e-brake on you as you go into a corner. Great job keeping it pointed straight. Got the wheels unlocked, refired, and barely lost any more time.
See that? Full power slide by Romain Grosjean. He's on the attack in that green and black Hunkos Hollinger Chevy. He wants to get this position, the 7th spot away from Pato O'Ward.
And with 3 laps to go, the skies have darkened just a little bit. And just think back to last weekend in Detroit, that unexpected sprinkle seemingly came out of nowhere. I don't think that'll happen, but it wouldn't be unusual in the Midwest for a tiny little pop-up to develop. So you got marbles on the track, moisture in the air. With 2 to go, Will Power hanging on, fingers crossed.
Doing everything he needs to do, eking that lead out over teammate Josef Newgarden. Clean air is king. He's just controlling the pace nicely. And looking back down through that, just seeing Herta there kind of made me think, look at it again. Think of where he was after the first lap. Think about where he was after all those caution periods that we had. Those were all in the first few laps of the race. His teammate, Kyle Kirkwood, inherited the lead after that mess in the first corner. After all the yellows where Colton was at the back. He's now only 3 seconds behind Kyle at a top 5. The comeback from the number 26 has been absolutely incredible today.
He's had great speed, but he was absolutely slammed from behind by Newgarden on the start. It was a big hit. We saw that piece of the floor that was broken off, so a lot of adversity to your point, Hinch. He kept his head down. He won't be happy with the final result, but he should be very proud of the drive from himself and the team.
You know who else should be proud? Is that 15 Hendrickson Honda of Graham Rahal. He made up 14 positions. Here he is, out of turn 5, up the hill to turn 6, and runs in 10th. He was in the gravel trap outside turn 1 on lap 1.
Absolutely. Another great comeback drive, and this is what Graham's always so good at. We talk about this time and time again, how he can perform on a Sunday, just take a bad position, maybe a poor setup, and bring it all the way to the top.
1 to go. 4 more miles for Will Power and the Verizon Chevrolet. And a two-year drought will be ended at the end of this final lap.
And that last lap, no softy, a 1:44.5 from Will Power, putting a stamp on things here today. Newgarden and McLaughlin, 45.1 and a 45.4 respectively. So he's going to do it with grit, determination, and pushing the limits all the way to the end.
Just to underscore how much this victory is going to mean to Will Power, he went 16 consecutive seasons with at least 1 win. And then you go winless last year? He's like, what's going on? I got to get back to the winner's circle. And then already through 6 races this year, it didn't come. And that's been a point of frustration. However, his consistency has been amazing.
He's had a couple podium finishes, finished second on a few times as well, and he kept saying, man, I'm so sick and tired of finishing second. But when you keep putting yourself in that position, you keep running up front, having those mistake-free races, eventually the brakes are going to fall your way, and this was not anything falling his way. This one was earned throughout the entire race, and a great final pit cycle, saving the fuel when he need to and putting on the power when it called for it.
And at the same time for Team Penske, a few corners away from a 1-2-3 finish, Diff. It's been a long time since they had that.
2017 Sonoma was the last. Team Penske 1, 2, 3. Simon Pagenaud, Josef Newgarden, and Will Power. But today, here at Road America, the XPEL Grand Prix is all about Will Power. Power ends a 2-year winless drought by winning here.
Congrats. Finally.
Finally.
Boys, that didn't take long. Oh, man. There you go. Well-deserved win. We have to fight for all of them. Guys deserve that. Feel great that we finally win a race.
That is career win number 42. That moves Will Power into a tie for 4th all-time with Michael Andretti. And
Not as usual. Good deal. Since we're not racing this engine, I think I can do some donuts, right?
The drought's finally over for the driver from Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia.
Taking a quick drink there. You see him pushing the drink tube a little bit closer in. That's what gets it kind of just in your mouth there. You pull it back out when you want to take a break from that. Just rehydrating after a hard-fought battle.
Will Power, your race winner here at Road America. What a day. And that means all 3 Team Penske drivers have won in this 2024 season. Will Power and his Verizon Chevy gives us the checkered flag moment of the race, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Oh, he's been waiting a long time to do this. To celebrate as an IndyCar winner again. And it's his 2nd win, by the way, here at Road America. He won way back in 2016, so it's been a while here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin as well. Acknowledging the fans, that was good. That was very clever strategy, snuck up on it, was watching his teammates up ahead for a good portion of the race. He led 9 of the 55 laps. Hey, you've won here. It's a long way back. It's a long way back to the victory lane.
I can tell you a little treacherous, especially when it's wet, but today, in addition to Will Power, it was this team, Team Penske, that delivered just brilliant race cars to their 3 drivers. Utterly no problems on the softer alternate tire. McLaughlin getting it done for that final spot on the podium. He led a lot of laps, 18 in fact for McLaughlin.
Look, and Scotty Mack moves up in the points. Like, he's up into the top 5 now. Will Power is the new championship leader. So super productive day for Team Penske. But Power's the man. Wonder how he's going to react. It's taken a while. He's in foreign territory.
I have an idea how he'll react. He'll be pretty happy, I bet. 736 days since he drove into victory lane last.
Some celebrations mean just a little bit more. Will Power told me a few weeks ago, 2023 made me mad, honestly. I was motivated to get back to victory lane, and he soaked this one in with the fans over in turn 5 for a while. Hey, it took 2 years and 4 days, but welcome back to victory lane, Will.
Yeah, I was, I don't know, man. I felt good about today, and we had a very fast car, but got to thank all the guys, man. Great strategy, very fast.
There's Liz, his son Bo. After all you guys went through as a family last year, is this one maybe more special than any win in your career?
Man, massively special, massively special. We've worked so hard to try to get wins, and I worked really hard in the off-season. Obviously, last year was very stressful and had half my mind at home and half at the track, so it's very difficult to perform at a high level there. But, man, just stoked. Verizon has been such a big supporter of mine for so long now, and stoked to see that car back in victory lane. And Chevy had excellent horsepower today, and very happy, man. Very, very happy. That was very, very well deserved for the whole team. We worked so hard for that.
Were there honestly times in this 2-year period, Will, where you thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to get back there?
Yeah, actually, you do start to think that, but you just, man, I know we got the pace. You know, Long Beach were really quick, and just yellow's falling at weird times and plenty of second places, but that just shows what this series is. It's no joke. It's incredibly hard to win, and you've got to work hard and do a perfect job. Otherwise, you're not going to win. So that's what we did today.
You said the word happy. That's the word you used with me this morning, right? You said, I'm just a happy guy right now. Why do you have this different perspective?
Oh, no, I just know how lucky I am. I'm lucky to drive for Penske. I'm lucky that my wife got through that last year and got a great family. I'm lucky, man. I'm lucky to do this. Anyone that complains when they've got a job like this needs a kick in the backside.
By the way, you're the new championship leader. I thought I might let you know that.
Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, and that's a great day. That's a great day, and I know it's going to be a tough fight to the end, but we're definitely up for it.
Will Power going to go celebrate with the team and with the family. This was a long time coming, Kevin, but very well deserved.
And 1, 2, 3 for Team Penske. Josef Newgarden comes home second. Last pit sequence there, the two that stayed out a lap longer. Is that the difference?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a really good team day, really good. I mean, 1, 2, 3, I don't think we can be dissatisfied with that. Will did a great job, too. I mean, look, he deserved to win the race as well. He drove really well today. But, you know, both things can be true. It's a great team day, and I think we let that one go for sure. But, you know, that's what's hard about it. But it was a great day. Our PPG car was fast. Team Chevy, 1, 2, 3, I think we can all be super proud of that. We put together a great day. We just probably misstepped there at the end. So I feel bad that I came in a lap early. Probably should have stayed out.
You still almost got him. Did you get into the limiter going into one there after that last stop?
Yeah, I just had a limiter hit, and you know, you just can't go early like that on a lap because yeah, you're gonna get killed on the sequence. Just the undercut's not working on a day like today. So that was the real miss, was just coming early.
Well, all things considered, this was a brand new race car today. You told me yesterday's car that was crashed in qualifying was a rocket ship. Was this pretty much the same car?
Yeah, it was just as good, and you know, I think all our cars were really fabulous. You know, Scotty drove a great race, Will drove a great race, like I said. So I think it could have fallen any way. I just, you know, I know that we were in position there at the end, so it's tough to not close it. But you know, everybody worked on this race car, the 12, the 3, the 2. So a big thank you to the entire team. That was a team effort to get that car out there, and it was just as good as, you know, the day before. So that's what I think you get at Team Penske, is that consistency.
One last question I have to ask you. You gave us all a startle going through the kink there, where it looked like you got on the grass a little bit. Were you looking down at your dash, or what happened there?
Yeah, I was looking at my fuel code and fuel knobs, and I got a little wide and touched the grass, and you know, thank goodness I didn't go around. But yeah, it was a scary moment.
Yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Second place for Josef Newgarden to Georgia.
Third place and rounding out the Penske trio on top, that's Scott McLaughlin. A lot of positives beaming from this XPEL Chevy.
Yep.
You moved up in points,
Yep.
a rebound from Detroit,
Yep.
and you podiumed the day before your birthday.
Yeah, I guess it's my last podium as a 30-year-old, I guess. But no, huge team day. You know, the XPEL Chevy was great. We led a lot of laps, obviously, but you know, it was a great team day. You know, Will with the win, first win for him for a long time, and then you know, Joseph second. We just. I wish we could have ran a little bit longer in a couple of those stints. So the overcut was really, really strong. So, but ultimately, this is a huge day for the team. Really proud for everyone. It's been a hard slog the last month and a half. Big few days for the team. Big month for the team. So, yeah, really proud of everyone.
We know Penske is a powerhouse, and I know you mentioned it, but just how big of a day is it to come out 1, 2, 3?
Oh, in this day and age, it's amazing. You know, we got the 1, 2, 3 on the front row for Indy 500, which was a proud moment for everyone. And obviously, you know, 1, 2, 3 on a podium after a race is sick. So I'm super stoked. You know, we'll take the points, move forward. Huge rebound for me since Detroit. Yeah, I'm stoked for the team, stoked for Will, and just ready to push on.
Hey, happy early birthday.
Hell yeah.
That is Scott McLaughlin. He turns 31 tomorrow. He rounds out the top for three for Team Penske, guys.
Massive team day, wasn't it? So we spoke about points a couple of times. There he is, Will Power on top by 5 over Alex Palou and Scott Dixon, who went from first to third. McLaughlin leaps his way up into the top 5, just behind Pato O'Ward. Colton Herta in 7th. Newgarden continues his climb up as well. And Alexander Rossi and Felix Rosenquist still in the top 10.
Yeah, looked like Rossi, the biggest drop back today, falls down to 9th. But the 1, 2, 3 for Team Penske, a lot of smiles from the crew. They earned it today. Hard work, tremendous preparation, and the winning setup.
The drought is over for Will Power. He's back in the winner's circle. Time for today's Pennzoil moment of the race, and this was it. The overcut, staying out longer by Will Power and the Verizon number 12 crew. He was able to leapfrog not only Scott McLaughlin, but Josef Newgarden as well. And that was the winning move. And he held Newgarden off on one of those subsequent laps. He did a really great job. For career win number 42, ties him for 4th all-time with Michael Andretti. And there is the great team day. Fantastic stuff. There's Josef Newgarden coming into the picture as well to say congrats to his teammate. What a weekend for Josef. Massive crash, a narrow escape at over 180 miles an hour, but he is part of a Team Penske 1, 2, 3 celebratory times for the captain, Marty.
Yeah, let's chat with Ron Marzewski, who runs everything at Team Penske IndyCar, but you also run the 12 car. For your driver, for Will Power, what you've seen him go through the past 2 years, how gratifying is this moment, Ron?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you know, Will, you know, he's really focused himself. You know, last year he had some adverse situations and that, and, you know, he buckled down the best he could, but, you know, it's tough to get through that. And this year, you know, it's the Will Power that we saw in championship form. You know, it was tough because he's getting a little bit frustrated. You know, there's been some situations and stuff that kind of get him a little frustrated in Detroit and such, and Indy, all these places he's had a chance to win. But, you know, he came into this weekend really focused. You know, everything was going to be good, and he was going to deal with whatever he had to deal with. And, you know, we unloaded off the truck good. And, you know, the Verizon Chevy was strong all day. And, man, he was focused.
I'm going to ask you about the opportunity to do the overcut. Did you know that was going to present itself?
I mean, all three Team Penske cars were great. I mean, the Chevy was just unbelievable today. And our only chance was to overcut these guys. And Will was able to take care of the alternate tires better than anybody else. And, man, he crushed it on the in lap. I knew we had a 2-second gap to the 51. So, you know, we had to go for it. We had to take a chance, and we did, and it paid off.
All right, Ron Marzewski's the boss. Now he gets to go celebrate with the all-team Penske podium here at Road America, Georgia.
Alex Palou started 7th, finished 4th. Do you feel like you maximized your race car today?
Yeah, I think we did. We did. We were lacking a little bit of speed there at the end. Couldn't really catch the top 3. They were just on another level today. So yeah, happy with our race. It was a bit frustrating to run alone for most part of the race, but yeah. It was a good solid day for the 10 car.
Yeah, and now we talk about championship points. Took a good chunk out of that as well. Closed the gap on Scott Dixon. That has to get your confidence and hopes up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to run top 5s. It's good that we got, I think, like, yeah, 14 or 13 points back. So it's good for us. Looking forward to Laguna now. But yeah, we need some wins now.
Just a few weeks until Laguna already. Thanks, Alex Palou. Finished 4th. Kevin.
Georgia, Colton Herta had a massive recovery today. Started on the front row, but was around twice in the first few laps. Before we get to how you did recover, let's go back to the start of this race. What's your view of what happened?
I mean, I just got punted by Josef. I don't understand how it's a penalty for Armstrong right in front of him when he takes out Lundqvist, but I get the same thing done to me right here. And I mean, it wasn't even close. You see me slowing down. He doesn't even attempt to slow down. Just dumps me. How that isn't a penalty is beyond me. I don't understand it. But that's the decision they made, and we'll roll with it. It's disappointing. It's disappointing because this is the 3rd week in a row, whether it was self-inflicted or not. But I thought we should win, and we didn't. And the 3rd week in a row where the Cambridge Honda has been so fast, and we have relatively nothing to show for it. I mean, I'm not happy with 6th place with the car that we had today, with the pace that we had in the car. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Disappointing.
All of that said, and then you were off in the grass again a few laps later. To come home at 6th would show some mental strength from the day that you did stay in it, and at some point, these 6th place points may matter this year.
I mean, I hope so, but I like to get wins instead of saying, oh, these points might matter, this and whatnot. Because yeah, the last 3 weeks have just been terrible for me. So I hope to turn it around. I hope to have some sort of luck. And you know, this car's been fast. The crew's been good on the stops, on the strategy, every single place we've gone so far. So to not have a win and to only have a handful of podiums is disappointing in my book.
Thanks, Colton. Fast car today, but not enough to show for it. Georgia.
Yeah, Kyle Kirkwood rounds out your top 5. Kyle, let's talk about your race. Did the plan at the beginning get fulfilled throughout the whole race?
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, we executed super well. Pit stops were great. Strategy was great. Ultimately, today we just didn't have the outright pace that we needed to be able to challenge for a win or even a podium. But we were kind of best of the rest, and clearly Andretti Global, we're good here. Maybe not the best today, but overall we've been really solid, and I think Colton showed that there. He obviously had a huge comeback, so I'm happy to see that from him. I think he would have been one of the ones to kind of fight for a win, but today for us we were just a little bit behind. But we'll take a 5th place. That's really good for the points. It moves us up in the points. Creates a bigger gap to the guys behind us, so we're happy with it.
I was just going to ask, we just heard from Colton Herta. You're the highest finishing Andretti Global driver, but when you're running your own race, are you noticing things like that out there?
No. I mean, we just want the team to do as best as possible, right? And I think myself, Colton, Marcus, we've all worked together really well this season, and making sure that we help each other out to the best of the ability and ultimately just get as many points as possible for the team.
A good day for Kyle Kirkwood, rounding out that top 5, as well as Colton Herta right behind him in 6th.
And that's exactly where Kyle Kirkwood sits in the NTT INDYCAR Series Championship points. 6th place, heading into a weekend off. Boy, one of the big takeaways from that, Hinch, Colton Herta, very displeased.
Yeah, he was, and certainly understandably so. You know, as he mentioned, the pace that he had in that race car, we saw it with that comeback. You saw the graphic, 20 places gained after the lap 10 restart. Really impressive drive. And let's take one more look at it.
Just listen.
So Newgarden gets out of the throttle, tries to hit the brakes. Diff, you and I called it unavoidable contact. Herta's like, I don't understand how there's not a penalty. Well, I think IndyCar officials look at this and say, well, there was an accident up front. Everybody checked up. and Newgarden couldn't avoid the accident. I don't think Herta sees it the same way. Newgarden was accelerating at the exit pretty aggressively, and the last second dumped the throttle. I think that's what Colton's upset about.
And you got to remember, at that phase, you're so close to the car in front, you're sitting low, you're staring at the back of a big rear wing. He doesn't have the front row seat to the synchronized spin from the Ganassi cars that Colton did, and so obviously his reaction time is going to be a little bit slower, and when you're running that close, that can make the difference.
But I think Colton say, listen, there's smoke in the air, you know cars are sideways. I mean, he got hit like a center punch up the rear there, so frustration for Colton Herta. Like he said, third race in a row that he was certainly one of, if not the car to beat on the racetrack, and it's not him at the top of the podium at the end of the day.
It was a pretty good day for Romain Grosjean as well. Let's hear from him with Georgia.
That it was. 14th to 7th for Romain Grosjean. You just described that race as fun, and I'd like to elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think it's what we needed. You know, it's such a great racetrack, and there's so much passing you can do, and the car was outstanding. The wind is not easy, the condition were not easy, but we had a great setup, and I'm really happy with what we were able to do. So today I think is a great day. The pit stop worked great. Everyone executed as much as we could. Obviously, there's still more we want to learn. The only problem today is Penske was too strong for everyone else.
How big of a confidence boost is a run like this for you?
I think we have seen it coming. Detroit, we were strong and we're in the race. Indy road course, we were strong. And Laguna Seca last year, the team was strong. So I'm excited about it. Right now, I need to jump on the plane to go to Le Mans. I don't really want to do a 24-hour race. I want to sleep right now, but it'll be fun by tomorrow.
Yeah, he's got a couple busy weeks ahead of him. He goes from here, he goes to Le Mans, he goes to Monterey. How do you prepare and switch gears for all of these different endeavors?
I've got no clue. I'll tell you that in a couple of weeks. I'm probably going to be sleepy on the plane and try to recover as much as I can. But I'm excited for the Lamborghini project in Le Mans. You know, it's such a beautiful car, such a great race. I'm really enjoying my time at Juncos racing. Everyone is doing a great job, and you know, I told you I love Ricardo Juncos, positive and attitude, and just the way he sees the racing. So today I'm very happy for my boys. I'm very happy for myself, and most importantly, I really enjoy driving the car.
And he's going to be trying to get some shut-eye on the way to Le Mans, but nonetheless, an incredible run for Romain Grosjean today.
And Georgia, Romain mentioned Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and the team has run strong there before. That is next on the calendar, and that's happening in 2 weeks' time.
Alex Palou aims to add another win to his legendary season, while Pato O'Ward and the pack fight for the checkered flag at Road America.
Absolute brilliance.
Sunday at 1:30 Eastern on Fox. Welcome to the fastest racing on Earth.